It would be impossible not to notice the Andrew Freedman home as you walk past. At the corner of 166th Street and the Grand Concourse, this huge European-style building looks like it's gotten lost in time. Even the garden that surrounds it is still perfectly maintained. 80 years ago, Andrew Freedman, the owner of the New York Giants, gave half of his legacy to build this majestic residence and provide housing for the New York rich families that had lost their fortune after the Great Depression. Today, its reconversion is a matter of contention. Propositions are numerous, but in the interim, the Andrew Freedman home hosts events such as the upcoming Urban World Film Festival. For this occasion, one of the ballrooms will be turned into the main screening room. They are also planning to create a bed and breakfast on the first floor to accommodate the guests. In order to preserve and honor Freeman's legacy, the concept is to restore the building to its original look and recreate the ambiance of the past. The library has held on to look from the last century, almost as it's been sealed since that time. Its former inhabitants used to come into this cozy place to relax and chat. The books are still here, intact.
Well, what's in here is the first edition of Truman Capote's In Cold Blood. We're in the process of cataloging all the books in this library. Most of them are not valuable, but we found a few first edition books that are, and it's nice. It's nice. And there are also some books from all around the world. We have a couple of books from Japan that has Japanese prints and calligraphy, a couple books from Europe. So it's got an interesting assortment. Some of this is the original furniture. Probably almost all of it is the original furniture. We are in the process of redoing the upholstery of it, I guess, the coverings, and we'll be doing that, and this will all become part of Andrew Freedman's new design concept. The basic concept for Andrew Freedman is to maintain its historical background, and yet at the same time, I guess we call it minimalist chic. Minimalist chic, which means basically to use as much money, to use the least amount of money as possible to restore Andrew Freedman to its original condition. Obviously, we're going to have some technological upgrades that will include, but basically we want to keep this type of finishing around it.
To rehabilitate the 21,000 square feet on each of the 3 vacant floors, per year is counting on private investors, green grants, federal and state money, and the guaranteed revenue from their 28 other buildings. In the future, their hope is to hire people from the Bronx community to participate in the growth and development of the home.
Andrew Freedman's current kitchen, it feeds the kids downstairs, and they also make some food for outside programs. We actually have 2 kitchens. One is here and one is in our other senior building at 900. And this is one of the areas that we're going to do a major upgrade, because we want to continue feeding the programs out of this kitchen, but we would like to upgrade it so that we could have our seasonal restaurant. And our seasonal restaurant will have guest chefs from the other boroughs coming here to make a particular menu for that period of time. We're also going to have an event where local restaurants can come together and they can showcase their cuisine, and we can market and advertise for them. This is something that would be good for the community, because we can invite the community to participate, and we can also invite people from the outside boroughs. And it's basically based off of a concept called Queens Eats, which is something that's done, I think, once a year at an event space called the Foundry. Ideally, if we reach our ideal, we would eventually like to start a food co-op in this area. I think a food co-op can be a very interesting way for people to control the price of their food and also the quality of the food that they have in the community.
Among the builders and rubble, one can still feel the rich history of the house. On the 3rd and last floor, employees are reluctant to venture. 5 of them have alleged to have seen ghosts walking the floor, always at night. Before it is renovated, Young Gothic fashion stylists from the Bronx are planning to stage a fashion show on the 3rd floor in its current condition.
Well, with Andrew Freedman, I think what's held up a lot of its development is that we've had a lot of ideas coming in from the outside, from a lot of different people. Museums, for example, a baseball museum was suggested, a hip-hop museum was suggested. And these are all very good ideas, but I think it's very important to have a cultural center that creates an income for itself, because then it can sustain itself. So while we welcome these ideas, we sort of shifted our focus to something that generates an income, that we can continue the programs that we have, and then we can also start sponsoring, donating, aiding the community. All of this, I mean, basically in the end, it's a money-driven world, and I think MBSCC, I know MBSCC is not profit-oriented, it's community-oriented, but you still need dollars to improve and develop your community. So Andrew Freedman is now being conceived as a project that will generate dollars in income for itself and for its programs and for programs outside of its own walls in the community. This is basically the idea that we have.
Now, there was talk about having condominiums here. Is that going anywhere?
Actually, the 4th phase of this project is housing development. Because if you look out, we can walk out to the garden again. There's enough acres that 2 buildings can be built outside. Now, how we would do that, Landmark's requirement is that the exterior of this building cannot be touched. So how would we do that? The concept that we are thinking about now is a glass building. So the glass building would allow people to still be able to enjoy and see the surrounding environment and appreciate it, and Landmarks would appreciate it, and yet at the same time we can have housing outside. So we do not totally want to destroy the garden area, because it's a very important part of Andrew Freedman. What we want to do is sort of incorporate it all together so people can still enjoy the grounds, and yet at the same time we have housing.